All right, let's just dive right into it. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to take a really close, mathematically grounded look at one of the absolute most talked about concepts in personal finance today, passive income. I'm super thrilled to guide you through this because, honestly, we are stripping away all the hype, all those flashy social media promises, and we're just going to look at the cold, hard numbers. We're focusing specifically on dividend income. If you've ever saved up a chunk of change and thought, what could this actually do for me if I put it to work? Well, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're going to demystify the whole process, piece by piece.
So I want to pose this exact question directly to you right off the bat. How much dividend income can $10,000 actually generate? $10,000 is a really fantastic psychological milestone. For a lot of us, it represents a solid emergency fund, or maybe that first really serious investment milestone. It takes serious time and discipline to save up that kind of cash. But once you have it just sitting there, what is its actual earning power? For this explainer, I really want you to make yourself the protagonist of this math journey. I want you to imagine that $10,000 is sitting in your brokerage account right now, just waiting for your instructions.
Before we start crunching the numbers, let's just acknowledge the end goal here. Imagine waking up every single morning, making your coffee, checking your phone, and boom, seeing money deposited straight into your account without you having to commute, without you having to clock in, or even answer a single email, right? That is the ultimate promise of dividend investing. It's the absolute dream of passive income. But to actually achieve that dream, we have to move past the fantasy and understand the mechanics behind it. We really need to ground ourselves in the sober reality of the math to see how we actually get there. Okay, to build our foundation, let's quickly recap the core mechanic here. Dividends are, simply put, profit sharing in its absolute purest form. As a part owner of an established business, you literally get a cut of their success, and it's paid out on a highly reliable schedule. Usually, this happens on a quarterly basis, but some companies actually pay out monthly. And the really great ones, they have a proven track record of increasing those payments year after year.
So let's see how the baseline numbers actually play out. We're taking our constant $10,000 and running it through three totally realistic scenarios, a 3% yield, a 5% yield, and a higher 7% yield. Annually, that breaks down to $300, $500, and $700 respectively. Now, when you first hear those numbers, you might feel a little, underwhelmed. You worked incredibly hard for that 10 grand and waiting an entire year to see just $300 to $700 back, it might not feel like that life-changing passive income you were promised online. So let's break this down even further to see what it actually means on a day-to-day basis. At a conservative 3% annual yield, your $300 translates to just $25 a month. The reality? That might cover a couple of premium coffees or maybe your favorite streaming subscription. That is the stark reality of what a solid, lower-risk dividend portfolio yields at this level. It's a start, for sure, but it's incredibly modest, and it's so important that we set our expectations right here.
Now bump that target up to a 5% yield, and you're looking at $42 a month. Okay, now we have a slightly snappier rhythm of cash flow. Maybe now it's covering your internet bill or, half a tank of gas. The money is definitely working for you, but it's still essentially a part-time employee. Your $10,000 is tied up for what is still a relatively small monthly payout.
And even stretching into higher yield territory at 7%, you're bringing in about $58 a month. Nice passive cash? Absolutely. Quitting your job to move to the beach? Yeah, not exactly. And honestly, this is precisely the point where a lot of beginner investors get super discouraged and just walk away. But they are missing the absolute most critical part of the entire equation.
Which brings us to the massive pivot in our strategy. The secret weapon isn't necessarily finding a higher yield, it's reinvesting those dividends instead of spending them. Look, if you take that $25 or $42 or $58 a month and just spend it, your income stream is going to stay pretty much flat. But the most successful investors, they don't touch a single cent of that dividend income. They use it to buy more shares. This completely shifts our narrative from just calculating basic returns to witnessing the absolute visionary magic of compounding.
This creates a relentless, fully automated loop. You use your dividends to buy more shares, which automatically generates larger dividends, which then buys even more shares, yielding even higher dividends. It is the classic snowball effect. Just like a tiny snowball rolling down a massive hill, gathering more snow, getting larger and way faster. Compounding significantly increases both your overall portfolio value and your passive income over time. The math completely stops being linear and starts working for you exponentially. It's honestly beautiful.
Okay, let's throw one more crucial element into the fire. A flat $10,000 initial investment will absolutely grow if you just let it sit and reinvest. But contrast that set it and forget it approach with an active strategy. Say adding an extra $500 of your own money every single month. By moving from a static investment to an active, ongoing contribution strategy, we unlock the true engine of wealth building. The key to massive passive income isn't necessarily having a massive starting amount, it is absolute consistency.
Because the ultimate multiplier here isn't just money, it's time. 30 years, or even 20. With consistent monthly contributions, religious dividend reinvestment, and long-term patience, your portfolio doesn't just grow. Over the next 20 to 30 years, that initial $10,000, which, remember, originally just bought you $50 a month, physically transforms into a massive, self-sustaining income tree. Time and discipline are quite literally the ultimate multipliers in this equation.
But whoa, let's take a quick pause here. It is reality check time. It is absolutely vital that we remain objective. Dividend investing is not some magic, risk-free money printer. It is incredibly powerful, yes, but it is not without its risks. To build a truly resilient financial education, we have to look at the downsides just as closely as we look at those compounding snowballs.
The reality is that companies can, and honestly sometimes do, slash their dividends during tough economic times. The underlying stock price could also completely tank, wiping out the gains of your yield. And you have to remember this, exceptionally high yields are often massive red flags signaling a struggling business or just a totally unsustainable payout. This is exactly why diversification isn't just some corporate buzzword, it is your absolute armor. You literally cannot put all your eggs in one basket if you want to protect that hard-earned income stream.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Can $10,000 make you financially free through dividends? Well, not immediately, but it is the necessary spark. Wealth is rarely built overnight, but it is so often built one dividend at a time. The journey to passive income does not require starting with millions of dollars. It starts with that first investment, the smart choice to reinvest, and the unwavering discipline to keep going month after month, year after year.